F5 BIGIP version 17 installation and initial configuration. So in this section, I'm going to show you how you can download F5 BIGIP virtual edition software from its official website, how you can request for trial version license, that is registration keys, and using that registration key, how we can do licensing of F5 BIGIP system. I'll also show you initial configuration of F5 BIGIP system, right? Because licensing part has been changed a bit now. So because you'll have to first create account on its official website, you'll have to fill in like all the information, and those information should be correct, no fake or no bogus information, including even company name. And sometimes even F5 takes 24 to 48 hours in releasing trial version registration keys. So I'll show you like from where you can do the registration. But before that, let me quickly explain this lab diagram. So I'll be using a next generation firewall here. Like there are three interfaces or three different security zones: outside, inside, and DMZ, demilitarized zone. And I hope you all understand like why do we do segmentation or security zoning in any firewall, right? Instead of creating a flat network, we always design uh, different security zones or network segments, right? So here like I'll be using three different interfaces: outside that connects to internet, inside like internal users, and demilitarized zone DMZ. So DMZ interface like connects with F5 big IP system, right? And then there are three different web servers connected with F5 big IP system. And you understand, like in order to connect three different computers, there should be a switch here, right? Any switch, layer 2 or layer 3 switch, and three servers connected to switch. In case if multiple VLANs are required, then even we can do like that. I'm like in on F5 big IP system also we can create tagged interface. In fact, interface that is tagged with multiple VLANs. That is also possible in internal VLAN or internal segment, right? And one of the interface of F5 big IP system would be used as a management interface 192.168.0.1, or you can assign any IP address of your choice, right? And to make this topology very much real to your production network, even I'll be using here public IP address, right? A static public IP address, and also a registered domain name, that is intinfovision.com, right? And I will also create a DNS record, a record in the public DNS server to resolve domain name to public IP address. And when requests here's like next generation firewall to this public IP address, right? After successful name to IP resolution, I'll show you practically all the steps. So rest assured, like I'll be just going step by step. In today's session, first I will show you installation and configuration part. In the next, I will just make this topology working properly. So next generation firewall, I'll do destination NAT or maybe static NAT to map public IP address with the virtual IP address that would be assigned to F5 big IP system virtual server, so that uh, client requests like coming from internet site would get successfully routed to F5 big IP system here, right? And then I'll show you like rest of the configuration how we can then forward client requests across different servers in this pool, or like logical grouping of servers. So that's something like very much part of your F5 configuration, creating nodes, member, virtual server, pool, and like other stuff. I'll explain that later on, because agenda is just to show you like how we can download, install F5 big IP system, right? So exactly the same topology I'll be using in upcoming session also, right? And even anyone from anywhere like can then access web application hosted in this DMZ demilitarized zone, correct? All right. So first thing first, like step is uh, downloading F5 big IP system virtual edition software like image, OVA or OVF file, open virtual appliance or OVF, and then also requesting for trial version license, that is registration keys, right? So let me quickly take you to first F5 website from where like we can uh, request for registration keys and from where we can download software of F5 big IP, right? So in order to get trial version license, a registration key, and also to download operating system, just go to f5.com/trials, right? This is the URL, and then just go to this, get the free trial now. Click here, F5 big IP, and IQ. IQ is basically centralized management server. In order to manage multiple F5 big IP system in like F5, we have F5 big IQ, a centralized management. Like it's very much like your uh, centralized configuration and management server. Like in firewalls, in other environment also we use centralized management server. Same here, like we have F5 big IQ, and F5 big IP is the system wherein like we activate or provision different modules like LTM, DNS or GTM, ASM, APM, different modules like they all can be provisioned on the same box on the same F5 big IP system. So you'll get 30 days free trial, right? 30 days free trial. So first step is login or register to F5 website, locate your trial, download the software, and the fourth step is start your trial, right? So first step is creating. So once you click here, get started, then you will be asked to enter your email ID. Uh, then you will receive activation, not activation, basically a code to your registered email ID to activate your account. And once you activate your account, then F5 will ask some other information like your company name, email ID, address, make sure that you are putting up like all the correct information over there, right? Because in case if information is not correct, not valid, bogus information, so most likely your request would get rejected. You will not get any trial version license, right? Because now licensing policy have been changed now. So earlier, like in earlier days, in fact, it was very simple, it was very easy just creating account, and a lot of like people they used to provide some fake or bogus information. But now make sure that you are putting in there like all the valid and correct information, right? And also try to like request for trial version license during Monday to Friday weekdays, and US time zone, as per US time zone, right? So sometimes your request is approved in 24 hours, sometimes even 48 hours, and sometimes like even I've seen maybe in couple of hours, like we get registration keys, right? So do that, and once you have successfully done that, like you have created successfully account, and I hope you understand. So I'm not going to show you like a step-by-step process how you are going to do that. But once you have done that, then uh, on this screen like you here like once you click start my free trial, and then you'll uh, see the progress also whether the request has been successfully approved or not approved. You'll see here, and once successfully approved, and as I mentioned, like this may take 24 to 48 hours, right? So this is so like if information is correct, then definitely request will be approved. And once it is approved, then like you will see here, uh, big IP, V, and big IQ, like IP, like wherein we activate LTM, GTM, and other modules, and IQ is centralized management server, virtual edition, free trial, right? Active and valid for 30 days. Click here. right? So on this page, you see here the option to select and download the latest version. I'm going to show you like which version you should download from here. And also, if you look at registration keys here, so Big IP Virtual Edition, Big IP Virtual Edition, there are two different registration keys. Also for Big IQ and some other like registration keys. But registration keys, right? So with the help of registration keys, we generate Dossier, and I'm going to show you practically. And then with that Dossier, we request again to a 5 licensing server for license, right? So Dossier is basically encrypted document or encrypted text to identify platform like your F5 big IP system. And Dossier also includes registration keys, right? So Dossier means encrypted text, like that identifies platform, also includes registration keys. So once Dossier is submitted to F5 big IP licensing servers, then license is released from there. That license can be used for 30 days, right? So this way, even license is very much like binded with the particular platform, be that hardware or virtual, right? So you cannot use license of one device to another device. That's the reason like why straight away F5 doesn't give license. So basically registration keys, with registration keys we generate Dossier, and then with the help of Dossier license is released in fact. Okay, so now we have here like virtual edition license, and in case if you want to download the operating system, if you have not downloaded, then click here download the latest version, right? To download latest version of F5 big IP system. All right, so select here I have read and agree to the terms and conditions. If you want to read, then definitely you should read here. And then product line, so still you can download version 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, right? Whichever version you want to download, you can download from here. Select the version of F5 big IP, and then maybe 17.0.0, and locate F5 big IP virtual edition, right? That can be used. And here we can see like big IP virtual edition 17.0.2, 17.0.1, and also if you look at this 17.0.0 and 0.1, right? 17.0.0 virtual edition. So click here virtual edition. So but whichever version like you want, like let's say I want to download this, where it has gone. Okay, so select your version, and then look for like if you want to install F5 big IP on VM orchestration or ESXi server, that is your VMware hypervisor, then you should select that specific release from the list here, drop down list, right? So I think I selected something, or I did something wrong here. So, and that's the reason like I was not able to locate a specific. So it's like this one is the virtual edition, not really this one. So select this virtual edition, and now, and approximately is of, and if you want to run it in like KVM CentOS, then 2 gig, this one, right? And for your VMware operating system, like size is again 2 gig. So click here and download. Your download will install start immediately, right? So this is the version. If you want to install F5 big IP system on VM workstation or ESXi server, then 2 GB or 2 gig in size, select and download. Simple, right? So once successfully you have downloaded, then already you have a registration key. So that registration key can be used to generate Dossier, and from that Dossier license is generated in fact. So I'm going to show you right how you can do rest of the step, because already I have downloaded 17.0 registration keys. Already I have requested, approved, and I have got like registration keys, couple of registration keys. So I'll be using that, right? So first thing first, so first I'm going to show you now how you can uh, open that image with your VMware workstation. Alright, so it's VMware workstation and F5 big IP image here. Open virtualization format, OVF format. Just double click and accept the license agreement. Head down next. Name it whatever you want. Like so, might not be F5 big IP V17. Okay, and how much like virtual CPU and RAM you want to assign or provide to the F5 big IP system, right? So if you want to run more than one module, like maybe LTM plus ASM both application security manager, so definitely you should go with minimum 4 virtual CPUs and 8 GB of RAM, right? So I have selected that. Import is in progress, will take a couple of minutes, and once successfully imported, just power on the virtual machine, perform initial configuration first from the CLI, and then rest of the configuration will do from graphical user interface mode, right? And in accordance with the same lab topology diagram that I have shown you, like uh, I mean, like using three interfaces: external, internal, and management interface. So basically, a 5 big IP system comes with 4 different virtual LAN card or NIC, in fact, right? External, you can use one interface for external connectivity, another one internal management, and the next one, whenever like configuring DSC or clustering device service clustering for HA mode. Okay, so powered on. New password. So default username is root, and default password is default, only default, right? So root is the username and password is default. And first login, of course, you are required to change password, then change the password. Now type here config command, right? So use this utility to add an IP address. Okay, select IPv4 address. Use automatic IP configuration, no. So I'm interested in 192.168.0.1. Okay, current route is no, I do not want. Yes. So after assigning IP address to the management interface port, you can access GUI page of it with HTTPS, right? HTTPS colon double slash and then management interface IP address, and make sure that there is IP reachability to the system from admin PC. All right. So quickly, if I show you the diagram, so what I did first, like just in CLI mode, first time login, username, root, password, default, all in a small letter, right? And once like you log in with default username and password, then change password. So assign or give any new password here, complex password, and uh, and then after run config command, config, right, for configuration utility. So with config command, we basically run configuration utility on a 5 big IP system, right? And why do we do that? Just to assign IP address to the management interface of F5 big IP system. So what I did, I assigned F192.168.0.1 IP address to the management interface of F5 big IP system. There's a management PC connected with management interface, right? And the IP address of management interface, management PC should be any IP from the same IP network, same IP subnet, and you understand like uh, in order to access a 5 big IP system, there has to be IP reachability to the system. And by default, management port permits management operation port was like HTTP, SSH, ping, right? So once IP is assigned, there is IP reachability, then you can access GUI page of a 5 big IP system. It's still like external, internal interfaces, not configured devices, not licensed. And without proper license, you cannot use a 5 big IP system for any purpose or any reason, right? But no worries, like it will start to set up utility automatically. And if you look at this, so let me increase font size. So now it's asking to log in. So current password. So no license exists for the device. The license for this device is not operational. Yes, we understand that. So license not activated. Click here and asking for the base registration keys, right? So here we have uh, two base registration keys with 30 days validity, right? So just copy from here and paste in, right? Now with this registration key, like the registration key we have used here, next step is selecting activation method, whether you want automatic or manual. So if you select manual, right, manual licensing method or activation method, and when we do select manual, if there is no internet connectivity, like I mean like if a big IP system is unable to route packet to the internet, there is no internet access, then definitely you should go with this manual method, right? If there is no internet via management interface of a 5 big IP system. And here is like the in manual method is a dodger. So dodger means like encrypted text. It's encrypted text, and this dodger also includes registration keys, right? Registration key, and dodger is very much like is specific to the device, be that physical or virtual appliance, because the whole purpose of dodger is to identify platform, right? so that license of one device in any way, like, so not be used on any other device. It's something like binding license with the device, physical or virtual appliance. So that's the whole purpose of like this generating dodge here. So select Control A, Control C, click here to access F5 licensing server. So what we're going to do now, we are going to submit dodge here to F5 licensing server, right? So here, paste in here like your dodge here, use this activation, license activation page, and then hit down next. Still is not the license, end user legal agreement, read agreement if you want to read, right? I have read and agree to the terms of this license. Next, here like we have license. Cut and paste your license key from the form below or click the download button to download. So simply select Control C. I'm back to the setup page. Paste in here license. Hit down next, and will take 2 to 3 minutes. Device may reboot here also. So license is being applied to F5 BIGIP system, and if your license has like lithium blade, ASM, F5 BIGIP DNS, APM, right? And you, if you want to use more than one blade, more than one software module on the same system, so yes, you can do that. If you want like only LTM, like local traffic manager, to be like provisioned, then yes, that is also possible. Okay, so that depends, like if your FIPIC IP system is licensed for different modules, you can use like those different modules on the same system, on the same F5PIC IP system. In case if you want a dedicated maybe ASM, dedicated, not along with LTM or any other module, that is also possible. Depends like what type of design you want for your network, for your environment. So now here, the system must be rebooted for some changes to effect. Yes, we understand that. So it's asking like uh, memory 7.7 gig disk, and management like MGMT is small, local traffic manager, nominal, minimum are dedicated. So for now, I want to maybe I will go with nominal, because also I want to provision ASM, right? So what my objective is like provisioning both LTM and ASM, and you understand like resources will be allocated to both modules, in fact LTM and as well as ASM, apart from traffic management or TMM and MGMT. So both like, okay, so because license, so license means you can provision them. All right, and even you can do that later also. You can do reprovisioning, not an issue. In fact, it's not like something that you can do only once. In fact, let's say you started with LTM, later on there's requirement of ASM, so you can do that. In next lecture, in next session, I will explain about LTM, ASM, DNS. These three are commonly used modules: LTM, DNS, and ASM. Correct. So I'll explain all different windows there. All right, and now head down. Next, reprovisioning may restart daemons or reboot the system. Yes, we understand that. So now you can see here like device successfully licensed online standalone, of course, because there's no redundant pair. There's only one device, so standalone. In production network, definitely we always deploy a 5 gig IP system in HA mode or device service clustering, redundant pair. Like there are different ways to deploy that. So next step here is performing initial configuration, network configuration mainly. So head down next. right? And let me increase font size. Okay, so now you can see here, if you want to put management route 0 dot maybe 254, host name, this is my F5, big IP 01, right? Time zone, set the time zone. So I'm in Asia, so mine would be Asia, Calcutta, and root password. So even if you do not want to change, still type same password here. SSH access, yes. SSH IP, all address, I'm okay with it, no problem whatsoever. And host name must be fully qualified domain name. Okay, so F5 big IP dot nettech, right? You can or maybe local, whatever you want, like, but FQDN means like there has to be like some name after dot, in fact, like F5 big IP dot LTM or local or dot in, or like maybe even I can put my website name, domain name, whatever you want, right? Let me put it here, nettech. All right, password, next. So it's loading, right? And now network configuration is also required here. A redundant device wizard, no, because there is a standalone device. So just uncheck both options, right? Even you can configure DSC later on. So if there are two devices, you want to put devices in HA mode, definitely you can run this config sync or setup utility again. Anytime you can run, right? Self IP address of internal network configuration. So if you look at the diagram here, 1.0 is your management interface. Already IP has been assigned. Internal interface 1.1, external is 1.2. So 1.2 is what? External. 1.1 is internal. And all the servers are in the same VLAN. There is no like segregation here. There is no layer 2 segmentation. So there's no need of using tagged interface here. Tagged interface is something like your trunk port or trunk interface in Cisco switches. In a 5 big IP, trunk means tagged and access means untagged. So I don't want to use like a tagged interface here, a tagged VLAN. I mean, 1.1 is internal and IP address 10.1.1.100 external 1 and 2.168.1.100, right? And no floating IP here. Floating IP is something like virtual IP address. So whenever we put devices in cluster mode or device service clustering, then yes, both IPs would be required, floating and as well as self IP address. Self IP address. So self IP address means IP address assigned to the physical interface. Floating IP is like virtual IP kind of thing, right? That floats across the devices, right? So that's what floating IP is. So floating IP is of course not required. Only the self IP means physical interface IP here, right? So self IP address of internal 100. What about the net mask slash 24? What about port lockdown? Port lockdown is something whether we want to allow some, like protocol uh, to TMM interfaces, I mean internal or external interface, again like can be customized, can be changed later on. So if I say allow none means like self IP address even cannot be pinged. You cannot do like SSS to the IP address or HTTPS, no, not allowed. So for now I want to go with the default option here, port lockdown default, right? Default protocols will be allowed, but you understand like anytime you can come here again and you can change port lockdown as per the requirement. I'll show you like how you can do, right? And also like already I have prepared like a 5 big IP courses. If you go to my website, that's nettechcloud.com, nettechcloud.com. So here like you will find total 4 pre-recorded courses, right, based on a 5 big IP. And one is this one, really very good one, like troubleshooting a 5 big IP, because troubleshooting is really very, very important, and troubleshooting is based on real life scenarios, right? So if you look at the curriculum, then you'll find a lot of like uh, troubleshooting use cases, like starting from the password recovery, TCP reset causes very common problem in a 5 big IP LTM, logging TCP reset packets, configuration utility not accessible, or packet drops, very, very again common. SSL related issues, restricting access. That's what like your port lockdown is, right? Port lockdown means restricting access to a 5 big IP. Local DNS server is not reachable, SSL certificate issue, CSR and chain of trust, handshake failure, and different like SSL profiles, generating CSR or renewing certificate, SAN or subject alternative name. Another very good use case here is renew certificate with new CSR in production network, maybe with minimum downtime or no downtime. Like if you have been not given maintenance window, then how you can do that? Configuring virtual server to host multiple HTTPS sites, how we can do that? Because this use case is very common whenever we also provision ASM like WAF, device service clustering related issues. It's like something only troubleshooting based, right? Software upgrade in HA mode, again without downtime, right? In production environment, how you can do software upgrade, right? Some other like use cases you will find here is only troubleshooting. And in case if you want like the whole uh, F5 big IP LTM uh, course, in fact, so you'll find like complete course here also, right? And not only this, even lab workbook and step-by-step lab workbook, home lab setup video, backend servers. So, and you will also find preview here, sample live workbook, sample interview questions. So if you click, then you will see here like in PDF, like you will find some interview questions. And also let me quickly show you workbook, like very well prepared, in fact, workbook, and not only for F5 LTM, GTM, ASM also. So you'll see here like how you can do your uh, even you can download this. So this one is sample, in fact, but you will find in detail creating LTM arcs. So step by step, even you can follow this lab workbook, following your lab practice. So you can do like complete lab practice, and not only of this F5 big IP LTM, even ASM, that is supposed to be like very complex topic. In fact, ASM, but I prepared like lab workbook step by step with a lot of snapshot solution verification. So not only the recorded videos, of course, like has recorded videos, like all the, and in very structured manner, like all the 17 modules, very structured manner, and then you'll find here lab workbook. This one is really very handy, like if you want to do lab practice. So all the recorded videos here you will find, and and for lifetime access. So total, you'll see here, total there are 4 courses: LTM, GTM, WAF, and troubleshooting is really a very nice one, in fact. So already if you have understanding of LTM, GTM, WAF, and only you want to be expert in troubleshooting, then you can look for some like free preview. Anyway, let me complete this. So I hope you understand like port lockdown is something restricting access to the interface, right? And this one is like based on version 13 or 14, but no issue at all. Like initial configuration, basic configuration, concept, all remain same. In fact, hardly there are some changes, and I will bring out like those differences also maybe in upcoming uh, session. In fact, so not a big deal, right? changes, I mean like changes means like the new features included in version 17, but no major as such change. In fact, the traffic flow, like working, initial configuration, all like same, very much same in fact. All right, so internal interface IP assigned, and which interface you want to use here, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. 1.0 is not showing up here because 1.0 is what your management interface. So F5 Big IP Virtual Edition means total there are 4 interfaces. 1.0 is like for management, and then still we have 3 more interfaces. So one interface I'm going to use for internal network connectivity, another one external, and 1.3 for now, yes, unused. Later on, you can use as a H interface, right? Tag interface, no. Untagged because all the servers are in the same VLAN. So untagged interface. Head down next. External. So if you look at the diagram here, external interface IP, still private IP address. Public IP is assigned to the firewall, and even I'll be using, as I mentioned, like a static public IP address. I have registered domain name. Will make this topology very much as like we find in the real production environment, right? That users accessing website with the domain name, first domain name is resolved to public IP address. Request is successfully routed to the maybe edge device, any edge device or firewall or whatever device you have deployed there. Mine would be like next generation firewall, right? And then like here, like we would configure destination NAT or static NAT or one-to-one NAT to translate public IP address of the domain name to the virtual IP address configured here on the F5 IP system. I'll explain like about virtual IP and other stuff. And once like and of course like firewall means like there has to be security rule that permits traffic coming from internet side and getting routed towards like DMG or demilitarized zone. So there has to be security rule that permits here. So request is further forwarded or directed to the F5 IP system. And then we would be using here WAF like ASM and also LTM both, right? And why WAF? Because if there is next generation firewall like Palo Alto, FortiGate, or Checkpoint, then still we need WAF, web application firewall. Why it is so? What are the differences? I'll bring out those differences in upcoming section, right? So in coming sessions, I will explain like why do still we need like next generation. I mean like WAF or ASM, or instead of having next generation firewall. I'll explain that also. So I'm back to the configuration and external VLAN. So external is 1.100. So 192.168.1.100, mask 255.255.255.0, port lockdown, external interface. Still, I want to allow default one. Gateway for F5 big IP system, gateway is what? 192.168.1.1. Agreed? This one? 192.168.1.1. Okay. So 192.168.1.1. External interface 1.1 already used, 1.2 untagged, add, finished, right? And once your setup utility is done successfully, now you can see here your device is now fully operational, right? Fully operational. You see here like LTM, DNS, device management, shared objects, security, software as a service services, some new additions here, right? So that's all for this session. I hope now you understood like how to download F5 big IP system image, virtual edition image, right? Licensing part of it, and also initial configuration. In next lecture, next session, I'll explain about, first I will give you high level overview of LTM, DNS that is GTM, and ASM that is WAF. DNS is like intelligent name to IP translation, and also F5 GTM or DNS means secure DNS or secure name to IP translation. I'll also compare F5 Big IP DNS with Microsoft Azure Traffic Manager And in AWS, we have Route 53. LTM we can compare with AWS load balancer like ELB, Elastic Load Balancer. Also, we can compare F5 BIGIP LTM with Azure Load Balancer and also Azure Application Gateway. ASM again like can be compared with Azure Application Gateway or maybe AWS WAF, right? Also, there is Cloudflare WAF, a lot of other WAF solutions are available nowadays. So I'll try to bring out like differences and similarities uh, of different WAF options or solutions available nowadays, right? So that's all like for this session. And in next session, we'll first understand LTM, DNS, and ASM. Very high level overview. Okay.